was making video 1 and 2, I was on a steep learning curve for the A320, and I was basically trying to make a video as I was learning it. It has been drawn to my attention that, particularly on the takeoff procedure with manual input into the autopilot, the speed does not hold at a set speed. And in video 2, you can see that the speed accelerates through 240, which is the required speed, and goes way up into the red sector. So I'm going to just try and remake the takeoff procedure from manual inputs into the autopilot. Let's see if we can get this to work correctly. I have... Sorry, I'd left my parking brake off. I have put my intended speed in to 240, and I am going to dial my heading in for 300 because I'm on Cardiff Airport runway 30 again for this little video, and I've got an altitude setting of 7,000 feet. If I dial into the rate of climb, I'm going to insert that into 2,000 feet per minute as well. So I now need an intended speed of 240, a heading of 300. Initial altitude of 7,000, rate of climb 2,000. Now, if we look over at our main instrument here, the only thing it is showing at the moment is in green saying altitude. It knows the altitude that I wish to reach. Now I'm going to use the throttle and I'm going to advance it very slowly. We're going to look here at what indications I get. Now the Airbus has indents. I'm presently at idle. I then have CL, climb, FLX, and managed by the MCT system, and a toga. Now I am going to advance the lever from idle to climb. You'll see that it is also saying in between those two that the auto throttle will then engage. A-THR there, A-THR auto. So when I advance these, the auto throttle will automatically switch on. Now I will know when the auto throttle is switched on because the auto throttle lamp here will illuminate. I will have a green light here. Now I need these figures here to become active. So having dialed it in, I'm going to right click my speed, that pulls the button out. Right click my heading, that pulls the button out. Right click my altitude, and if I right click rate of climb, for absolute certainty I can dial that in again. Now all those have been made active. I need flaps 2 for takeoff. Flaps 2 setting here. Now I'm going to look once again in this corner. I can see here 240. If I zoom in on this main instrument, I can see 240. That is my required speed. I have set a vertical speed of 1,800 feet per minute, and my altitude has been set and recognized. Now if I return to the autopilot and I dial in my rate of climb as 2,000, so 7,000 feet altitude, but rate of climb 2,000, if I right click that again, and I now look back at my main instrument, it is now showing a vertical speed of 2,000. So I know that that has been recognized as my intended initial climb out. Now on video 2 I said to set the throttle to climb, CLB, and then everything would be okay. That's not quite correct. As I advance the throttles, look in the left hand corner here of your main display. You will see that lever CLB begins to flash, and if I then reduce the throttle it very slightly, the indication here will change to speed. At that point I will take off and climb to my required speed. Okay. Advance the throttles very slowly with the brakes on. Look at the instrument corner. Engines are spooling up. It says manual MCT lever climb. Reduce very slightly and it changes to speed. Release the brakes. Now this is showing speed. It is going to hold my required speed. I have a green VS 2,000 feet per minute altitude. Now I need to take off manually and retract my flaps as I climb out. I am not doing anything else to anything. I'm now reaching 140. Back. Positive rate of climb. Gear up. 400 feet. 700 feet now, switch autopilot 1 on. I get confirmation here. Retract the flaps to flaps 1. I'm now passing through 180 knots. 1300 feet. So my intended altitude is 7,000. I am climbing at 2,000 feet per minute. I am passing through 1,900 feet. I'm retracting the flaps to now clean. My intended speed is 240. There's the indicator for 240. As I reach this point, this little yellow arrow should decrease and I should hold the speed at 240. It's now automatically decreasing and the speed is held. I am now passing through 3,000 feet and I will continue up to my 7,000 feet initial altitude. So flaps are now clean. I'm at 240. I'm heading for 7,000. I'm passing through 4,000. Autopilot 1 is on. Auto throttle is on. Now the CLB position is relating to the information which is in the FMC calculations, which I cover in later videos. And I'm sorry about this initial error, but it would appear that if we wish to control it manually by these speeds, we need to see speed being active in this corner. And I found that it is a very, very slight pullback on the throttles from the climb position to obtain that. I'm now passing through 6,200 feet. can see only speed and altitude as green lettering here, which is confirming that that is what is being held by the autopilot. I'm just reaching 7,000 feet now, leveling off and travelling at 240. So external view, level flight, 7,000 feet, 240 knots. Now, because the heading was active, if I dial in a new heading, nothing happens. That is because the heading button was preset for 300 and it arrived at 300. I've now told it that I want to change to 264, but until I right click this button and pull it out, that information will not be dealt with by the autopilot. So I will decrease this once more. So I will say I now want to turn to a heading of 255. Right click. Now I will turn. My speed is now being held at 240. If I wish to decrease my speed, I can do that by simply using the scroll wheel. Because this speed is active and being shown as active here as a green speed word, my speed will adjust to what I require. So if I dial it further up, you'll hear the engines speed up. I now say I want to reach 250, then the engines will throttle up until I reach that speed. They will do this automatically and vary the thrust according to the conditions on the aircraft. But my speed indicator now has moved from 240 to 250. I hope that will clarify some of the issues with the initial takeoff.